Okay, and then thank you everyone for being here. And I am going to here share my screen. What's that? There we go. Okay. So everyone can see my screen okay? Give you a second to situate if you need to. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right. So welcome to my capstone, everyone. I want to be able to, can I make this bigger? Hold on a sec, sorry. That's not what I want. Okay. Okay. So thank you for coming to my capstone. This is Neuroplasticity for Beginners. And okay, so gosh. Okay, here is my agenda and our outcomes. And so I'm going to do a quick introduction and then talk a little bit about my history with neuroplasticity, techniques that I've used, and then talk about what science is saying today about neuroplasticity. And then we're going to do a neuroplasticity technique for managing stress, and then we'll go over our summary, review, and question time. So our outcomes for today are you will be able to define and describe a basic understanding of neuroplasticity. How does it work? What structures are involved? Why is it important? And you will be able to understand the regulating technique well enough to use it and explain it to someone else. So first of all, yes, my name is Larissa and I'm a massage therapist. I've been practicing for 17 years. I've been studying neuroplasticity for 10 years, and I am on Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish unceded territories. I do live in hope of a peaceful time where we have Indigenous wisdom at the forefront of how we operate in society, and I do use Indigenous practices in my teaching as well. Okay, you want to learn a new superpower? You want to have more control over your mind, body, and living experience? Neuroplasticity is the key to making real changes in the nervous system. Your awareness is the key to neuroplasticity. This definition is kind of how I define it personally. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to form new pathways and is fundamental for learning, adapting, and forming memories, and can be used to heal from a variety of complex injuries, syndromes, and symptoms. So I was hoping that everyone could kind of go around the room and introduce yourselves. Of course, I know all of you. And I just wanted you to all introduce yourselves and explain what you know about neuroplasticity and what you're hoping to get from this lesson.
Okay, well, my name is Caitlin. I know Larissa personally from our building, and my knowledge on neuroplasticity is basically just about like generally trying to change ways of knowing and your established patterns. Just so you know, we just see the video now, no PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'm trying to fiddle around with it. Thank you for
Fair.
telling me. Again, first time. Hold on, change my view. Is it gallery? Does that help? Speaker.
Usually there's a presenter view.
Together mode. That's how I did it before. Whoa. That's not what I was going for.
Where are we now?
Neat
Where
background, though.
indeed? Where did that come from? See, that's speaker mode.
Yeah, usually there is like a presentation mode.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Yeah, at top. see, what does that do?
No PowerPoint, only videos, only like art pictures, just
Okay.
PowerPoint.
And now it's showing PowerPoint?
Yes.
See, when I did it before, sorry to interrupt your introduction.
All good.
I was able to, oh, side by side. No, stand out. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, what are you guys seeing now?
just your PowerPoint.
Just the PowerPoint. Okay.
And
I only see your
oh,
picture in a bubble.
So weird.
well, and then I
Okay,
see
well-
everyone else on the right-hand side.
Okay. See, that's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
And
Okay. So I wonder if what that's going to end up showing on the video, because that's what it showed on the video as well. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it on like
I
this
bet you
for
think
now.
it's good. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry to interrupt. Caitlin, carry on.
Just FYI, I do not see any PowerPoint now.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if everyone's the same. Yeah, I just see you and Steph with a forest background.
Okay. Maybe you can fiddle around in your settings to fix that. Because I think I
Yeah,
don't, yeah, I
I
think
don't
that
know.
should be
Well,
okay.
we'll see. Okay. Okay. So sorry, what I was saying, neuroplasticity. Yeah, it looks like just like pathways of knowing and your established like connections. So if you repeat something over and over again, you're building like a certain pathway, and neuroplasticity is trying to change those pathways. And it's actually not on together mode. It's on like it's on gallery mode. So I don't know.
Okay.
And then what I'm hoping to get out of this is to expand my knowledge from just kind of like textbook to like a different kind of application.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Anyone else like to share?
I'll share. Hi, I'm Stephanie. I know Larissa because we met at a sound bath because we're both RMTs, I guess. And I guess I just know neuroplasticity, like mostly in like the massage, like pain realm. It's like how to change your patterns in regards to like chronic pain. Yeah, and I'm just hoping to get a deeper understanding of how I can communicate these practices better to other people as well as practice them myself.
Cool. Anybody else?
I'll go. Joni says she can't go.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
So, hi everyone. My name's Andre. I'm Larissa's older brother. That's how we know each other from life. And I am a total beginner here. So yeah, I'm here to take in everything, see what sticks. And I actually, just hearing from the introduction, I'm kind of curious if any of this will apply to my own work, working with teenagers for the government. So yeah, curious about yeah, learning, or yeah, trying to instill them to learn new things. And
Cool.
Joni said she put her introduction in the chat.
Okay. And let me see. I can't see the chat anymore. Gosh. Okay. Okay. What are you guys seeing now? Is that
Your team's
the
display.
Teams page? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me switch it to speaker. And then, okay. All right. But that's not what I want either.
Try
Okay.
hitting the chat button, or I can read Joni's.
Where? The chat. Oh, here's the chat button. Okay. Okay, so this is what Joni put in the chat. My name is Janitha, and I'm an adult learning space. I'm in the adult learning space too. I know about the idea of neuroplasticity, but looking forward to a deep dive into to learn more and able to use. So this is more of a beginner's surface level, but I'm hoping to spark curiosity and give you guys some avenues for things to learn on your own. And hopefully, yeah, get you more curious about the idea. Okay, so let me go back to my So are you guys seeing my PowerPoint now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
I
cool.
am. Yes.
All right. Okay, so diving into my personal history of neuroplasticity, these are a couple of the authors that I read. Norman Doidge's book, The Brain's Way of Healing, back in 2016. And so there's a little blurb from his bio about him. Psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, researcher, author, essayist, and poet. And then I also read Stephen Schafferman's book, Awareness Heals, The Feldenkrais Method for Dynamic Health in the early 2000s, I want to say. And my biggest takeaway from that book was the power of oscillation. And we'll get more into that. And then there's a little bit about Moshe Feldenkrais, who developed the Feldenkrais method, and we'll learn a little bit more about that in another slide as well. So that's just kind of like the overview of the authors. And so this is my history with neuroplasticity-based sessions. So back in 2014, I did some group therapy where I learned about cognitive behavioral therapy, which is very much about noticing your thoughts and noticing how you feel about your thoughts. And for me, it was about creating mantras to kind of like, well, if I'm anxious about being late, then I'll tell myself I've got lots of time, because I do. And so that really helped me to manage anxiety about being late. And then I've applied it to other aspects of my life as well. At some point, I can't remember when, I learned about this regulating technique. And then I learned it again when I was studying integrated energy healing back in 2018 at Langara. Biofeedback is an interesting neuroplasticity technique that I also did with a counselor, where they put these diodes on your head, and then your brainwaves get fed through a computer, and then it gets put into a visualizer. So you're watching your brainwaves, and anytime your brainwaves get out of a normal, healthy range, the computer will blip. And so it forces your brain to be aware of itself, which is very interesting. And I did find it useful. Over the last year, I've been doing EMDR, again with a counselor, psychotherapist. And there are a couple of options with it, where you can, the machine kind of looks like a squeegee until the light lights up, and the light goes back and forth, and you can either follow with your eyes or you hold buzzers. I went with the buzzers because the light thing made me dizzy. And so what you do is, at the beginning of the session, you decide something you want to work on, like your anxiety about being late. And then you hold the buzzers and they buzz back and forth, and then they stop. And then you talk about, okay, how do you feel now? And then you do that a few times during the session. And I have noticed over the last year since I started doing it, I experience less stress, less anxiety, get triggered less easily, and just generally experience more joy. So more about Norman Doidge's book. You can kind of see here a list of so he went around the world interviewing people who have these different disorders, syndromes, etc. People with Parkinson's, chronic pain. One guy had an autoimmune blindness, and they all use neuroplasticity techniques to either a full recovery or at least manage symptoms. Some of the people had neurodivergency diagnoses as well, like autism and ADHD. And I'm not saying that we fix people with autism or ADHD or any learning differences, but it helps, like for myself, being a highly sensitive person, it helps to manage symptoms so you can navigate a world that's not really meant for you. Some of the techniques used were sound therapy, neurofeedback, movement, and EMDR. So that book is where I learned about neurofeedback and EMDR. And I found it really inspiring to read about all of these different people, their life stories, the things that they dealt with, and just the absolute power of the mind and your awareness. More about the Feldenkrais method. So again, my biggest takeaways from this book was the combination of movement, mindfulness, and oscillation, the back and forth between different movements while being mindful about it. The Feldenkrais Guild, there is a guild here in North America. So there are massage therapists here in Vancouver, British Columbia, where they're certified to do the Feldenkrais, and they'll do it as a one-on-one, or you can see people also do this method in group classes, kind of like yoga or Pilates. The interesting thing about Feldenkrais, he was born in 1904 in Ukraine and walked from Ukraine to Palestine, ended up in Paris in 1940 and escaped just before the Nazis took over, and then ended up in London, where he was studying math and physics. And had a re-injury of an old knee injury, and the doctors were telling him they want to do surgery, but there's only 50-50 chance that it'll work. And he did not like those odds. And as a scientist, he said no. And so he used his knowledge of jujitsu and educated himself, and developed the Feldenkrais method to overcome this knee injury. And so it's been around for a long time. The education that he gave himself was from information that was already there back in the 40s and 50s. So the concepts of neuroplasticity have been around for a long time. And so you can see the little infographic here. It also kind of has a little bit more information. Okay. Ooh, and here is a cool video of a neuron making a connection, synapse making a connection with another synapse. Stuff like this, like, it's so cool that we can visualize this. Could you guys see the video? Did it play for you?
Yes, that's super cool.
Yep.
Right?
Wow.
Like the fact that we
Yeah.
can put a camera and see a neuron, and like, this is the physical changes that happen in the brain when you're learning. So, and there's lots of stuff like this on the internet, lots and lots. Okay. Oh, button. Oh, no, don't want to watch again. Okay, so what science today is saying about neuroplasticity? Again, the definition: the brain's ability to rewire, reorganize, and form new pathways from both internal and external stimuli. So internal stimuli are your thoughts, external stimuli, your movements, or like the EMDR. Okay, so neuroplasticity is happening when you're learning, creating new memories, or adapting. Can be both adaptive or maladaptive. So I hear those words and I think adaptive is when you're healing, learning, growing. Maladaptive is more to do with chronic pain and probably addiction. Neuroplasticity can be used for healthy aging and cognitive resilience. There are 4 main processes: synaptic plasticity, structural plasticity, neurogenesis, and functional regeneration. These 4 processes all work interdependently, so they all rely on one another. None of them work independently. So we think in terms of long-term potentiation versus long-term depression, which are complementary and oppositional mechanisms of synaptic plasticity. So long-term potentiation has to do with creating the pathways you do want to use, and depression, avoiding the pathways like the chronic pain, addiction that you don't want to keep propagated. Okay, any questions so far? I can't see you guys, so I don't know what's going on.
What is the definitional difference between synaptic plasticity and structural plasticity? What are the
So
4
glad you
different
asked.
types?
We're going to get into that in another slide. Yeah. Okay. So neuroplasticity and healing, again, so this is from a study that was published last year. So you can see the syndromes and the symptoms that neuroplasticity can approach are still fundamentally the same as 10 years ago. So that way hasn't changed. What's important for me is that things like CBT and EMDR are non-invasive. And we can do therapies where we don't have to do a surgery, where we can help people through easier means, I want to say, or non-invasive means. So functional plasticity is the shifting from injured to non-injured parts of the brain, critical for motor skills, speech, and cognitive function. Structural plasticity is physical changes in the brain with new dendritic branches and synaptic connections. Does that sort of answer the question?
And then between structural plasticity and synaptic plasticity. So structural is what, new pathways, and synaptics is new connections between those pathways?
Yeah, and the synapses also has to do with the chemistry within the synapses as well. So we think in terms of the potentiation, where if there's too many neurotransmitters in the area, we can lower the potentiation by having less of those in that area.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so again, sorry, what's that?
I said thanks.
Okay, cool. Right. So another important takeaway is that the brain remains capable of change throughout adulthood. You can teach an old dog new tricks. So the idea, I say this to patients all the time, your body is plastic, your brain is plastic too. You can make these changes. It's not too old. You're never too old to make changes. And for me, for what I've experienced, and I say this to clients all the time too, you got to meet people where they're at, and most people are fairly complicated. So combining techniques, figuring out different techniques, and seeing what works for each individual is a really important part of the process. If I had unlimited resources, I'd be doing all of them all at once, but most of the time I can only manage one at a time, and that's effective, but a combination of things I think can be more effective, especially when it's catered to the individual. Okay, so now we're going to practice. And I'm just, yeah, no. Okay, so first, take a moment and get comfortable in your seat. Get your feet flat on the floor, or you can put your hands on your thighs for what we're about to do too. So yeah, just take a moment and let me know when you're ready. Okay, is everybody ready?
Yeah,
Ready?
Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to be alternating between lifting the toes on one side of the foot and then lowering them, and then lifting the toes on the other side of the foot and then lowering them. So first of all, notice your breath and take a few breaths and try to get your breath a little bit even, and then we will start. Okay, so we're going to be breathing in and lifting the toes on the left side, and then breathing out and lowering the toes on the left side. And then breathing in and lifting the toes on the right side, and breathing out and lowering the toes on the right side. And if you want to use your hands instead, you can lift your fingers instead of your toes. That works too. So again, breathing in, lifting on the left, and breathing out, lowering on the left. And then breathing in, lifting on the right, and breathing out, lowering on the right. So I'm going to let you guys cycle through for a few breaths of that on your own to see how that feels. Okay, how's everyone doing?
relaxed.
Awesome. So
Good.
part of this, sorry, go ahead.
Just responding to the question. I said I'm good.
Okay, good. Sorry, I can't see you guys, so it's like I feel so disconnected from the process of it. So what the goal of this is obviously to calm the nervous system, but also to notice how things feel as you move between left side and right side, but also notice how it feels while you're breathing and doing the movement. So it's again an oscillation between the movement and the breath and your awareness, kind of all moving around. Okay, so that's the sort of entry level for this technique. I like to make it a little bit more challenging, and by lifting at the same time, lifting the toes on one side and lifting the heel of the other side, and then lowering them both, and then switching sides. So go to the next. As you can see, so breathing in and lifting the toes on the left while lifting the heel on the right, and then breathing out and down, and then switching sides, lifting the toes on the right and the heel of the left, and then switching sides. So again, I'll give you a minute to sort of play around with that. And again, you can't do it wrong. Just sort of go through the motions and see how it feels. Okay. So this technique is something that I do if I'm waiting in a waiting room or waiting in a lineup. I find myself shifting side to side, just focusing on the movement. It helps calm the nervous system again. Sometimes you're worried about getting to the end of the lineup before the store closes, or, waiting for a doctor's appointment. That's never fun. So I find this technique is really helpful for managing the anxiety of there's nothing else to do. And waiting can be stressful sometimes. Okay, so thank you for participating in that. So again, take a moment to check in. How does your body feel? What did you notice moving between the two sides? Do you feel more or less same relaxed? Was coordinating the movement between the two sides easy? And do you have anything to share?
I found it very relaxing. Like, it was very nice to find like a center focus.
Mm-hmm.
That was also like that oscillate, like that back and forth was good. Something to focus on. Now I'm very relaxed.
Excellent.
I find it kind of stressful actually at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think that's like me with any kind of relaxation kind of technique. And then I think the more it kept going, the more I'm like starting to settle, which I'm sure says something.
Yeah. And I think that initial anxiety because you're learning a new thing, that's something to notice and to reflect on for yourself. And it means your brain is forming new pathways because you're learning a new thing. And I think that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it like a nice kind of like relaxing, also like kind of grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And then at first, I realized I was doing it like kind of procedurally, like breathe in, lift feet, toes up, right? And then I tried to make it all kind of like smooth happening at the same time.
Cool.
Which,
And that's another like the thing I love about neuroplasticity is that like I learned this 10 years ago and then adapted it for myself. It's like a whole bunch of puzzle pieces that you can decide what the puzzle is going to look like at the end for yourself. You can't do it wrong. It's about the oscillation. And so you can customize it. And again, I love that you went through the process of like doing it more literally and then realizing you didn't have to do it that way. So that's really cool. Does anybody else have anything to share? I think is Joni in the chat by chance?
she's here and listening, but she said something about can't type.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do a quick review. So neuroplasticity has been around for a long time, but it's still an emerging science. If you Google it now, there's so much to learn about it. And I really hope that you guys feel inspired to do that. It can be simple, complicated, active, passive, and customizable for your needs. There are a wide variety of disorders and injuries that neuroplasticity can help with. And awareness and knowledge is empowering. So I'm going to escape out of that and close that down. Okay, so now I can see you guys again. Yes, thank you. I know. And we somehow still created two of us together. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, now is the time for if there's any more questions that you guys have based on what you know about what I know or anything else you want to share.
Have you worked with like post-stroke patients?
Yes, I
Have you
have.
found that you're able to like change anything like, I mean, I guess speech isn't really your domain, but have you been able to make any
So
shifts for them physically?
it's been a while since I had a patient who'd had a stroke, and it was before I fully understood the mechanisms of neuroplasticity as I understand them now. But
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the principles of massage are founded in neuroplasticity anyway. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is something to be said for like the stimulation of like the massage, the techniques that you can do, and the results that you can get from it. But unfortunately, I haven't had that chance to apply what I know now because it was very early on in my career
Yeah,
to a
fair.
stroke. Yeah.
Okay. I will say, like, because I'm a nurse, and so in
Mhm.
the hospital, we have lots of family members who stay with their like family post-stroke. And we have like certain cultures, it's super common to do a lot of like physical stimulation, like massage or like leg tapping or anything like that. And I have noticed changes in patients, like in terms of their strength or like being able to move their fingers on one hand or
Mhm.
whatnot. So I guess that was kind of the same sort of thing. Then.
Yeah,
Interesting. Thanks.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and one of the so Deutsch's book did follow someone who'd had a stroke, and I don't remember all of the specific details, but they did have results. Like it wouldn't have made it into the book if he hadn't had some kind of recovery. So
Fair.
yeah, the
Was
the
this a
breadth of things that you
sorry?
can manage with neuroplasticity
Mhm,
is vast, right?
mhm. Was this a topic that you like could choose for yourself, or were you like assigned this topic to present on?
Yeah, I self-assigned. This was my this is
Yeah.
something I'm fascinated by, and I think it's
Mm,
because it's so empowering. I think everyone should know at least a little bit about it. So yeah, this was
mhm.
something that I was particularly passionate about.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So Andre, now that we've done the lesson, do you think you'd be able to apply um, any of these techniques with any of your clients?
Hmm, good question. Probably could in a pinch because some of them are very anxious and whatnot, but I so, yeah so everyone else knows. So yeah, I work with teenagers that are involved in the criminal justice system. So I don't know if I'd want to like eh, dive into this with them if they're in any sort of like anxious state, not being like you know fully on medically trained in this kind of thing. Like I'd hate to give them the wrong impression of what we're
Yeah.
trying to do. Um, but it is certainly interesting. And I definitely like keep an open mind just any place where it would might be potentially applicable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just knowing that the techniques exist and giving them, you know, if you can educate yourself or say like, I can't teach you, but here's a video from an expert who can, or something like that, right? Just knowing that the pathways are there.
Exactly.
Jonitha is typing. Yeah. Um, like the regulating technique is really great for, so I love this more for myself and maybe my anxious teen, post-teen. Yeah, like I've been using this regulating technique for more than 10 years, and I find myself doing it again, waiting in line, waiting in the waiting room, trying to fall asleep at night. Anytime my brain wants to spin and I have nothing else to do, I'll start doing the regulating technique. And I love that it can be adapted for the moment, and like I'll do it differently depending on what's going on, and sometimes I'll do it even like I'll breathe in on one side and then breathe out on the other side. So there's multiple levels of how you can do it, and then oscillate between all of those. So I find it so adaptable and so effective. Okay, so anybody else? I'm looking at you, Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how I can apply this technique like during treatments and things when my clients are all tense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a good technique. I think this is a good little refresher of how plastic our brains are and how much we can actually affect our like physical form by just internal thought processes and breathing techniques, and how important the connection to your own body is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that you can take the fundamentals of the regulating technique and just see how you can adapt it to anything else.
Yeah. I definitely plan on doing this with a lot of people this week.
Cool. Yay. Okay, go. So I think we have enough recording wise. I'm going to stop the recording.